Hi, everyone.
Hello, Professor. This is Dong.
Hello there, Don.
How are you doing?
Who else do we have? We have Mike, we have Kaisu, we have Kareem, Randy, Jonathan. Cici is here. Very good. Hi, Cici.
Hi.
I see half your face, but that's okay. All right. So, Dong is calling us from Hawaii. That's cool.
Yeah,
I'm still trying to figure out how to do that on my.
it's in the settings.
Yeah, I know. It's just that when I move around, my
Yeah.
background is too dark.
Okay.
Anyway, so I have. So you've got a bunch of people from the MFE, actually current MFE students, but also students that are looking to participate next year. So I thought it would make sense to hear from you guys a little bit. So I have, just to introduction, I have Don Young, who is working at Citibank right now. He graduated from the MFE a few years back. I have Cici, who also graduated from the program. One is an analyst, one is a data scientist. So maybe we could see a little bit in terms of what they do, but more importantly, maybe we could start with you, Cici. What is it that how did you? What happened after you graduated? How did you get your first job? What was the process you went through? Because a lot of people could share your experience.
Sure. When I graduate, I think my first job, I was recommended by one of my professors. So my previous, most of our employees from my previous company actually graduated from Lehigh. So very powerful alumni network there. That's how I look at my first job.
Good. Go ahead.
I do apply a lot online when I graduated, but I don't get a lot of response though, because I don't have any working experience by that time. So by that time, I think networking is the most important thing.
Okay, so I think this is a theme that keeps coming back over and over and over. And how early before you graduated did you start developing your networking relationships?
Well, I would say as early as possible, but I don't start very early. I think it was, I started the second year of my master's degree.
Okay, in the beginning of the second year, basically.
Yeah.
So that makes total sense. What about you, Don? How did you, what was your process? Because I think you've been working at Citibank, right, since you graduated.
I joined a regional bank at first in Florida after I graduated. So I joined Citi about 2 years ago. So about the experience of finding the first job, I'm probably a little bit different from others because I'm quite bad at socializing with people. So I didn't spend too much time talking to other people. Maybe that is not a good example, but my approach was like a lot of our classmates were looking for jobs like in trading, in hedge fund, mutual fund, or in consulting firms, or data scientist. So what I was looking for was, at the beginning, was risk management at banks. So it's much less competitive compared with investment bank and hedge fund, right? And also I was open to location, right? Location-wise, I was looking for jobs across the country. So basically what, in the end, I found a job in Florida. So that is another point I want to mention is that right now, even for some large banks, the strategy is to relocate their risk management functions into other non-hub cities. Because for most of people is believing that most of the financial jobs should be in New York City or in other hub cities like Chicago, like Boston. But right now, from my understanding, is a lot of banks expanding their coverage in other cities. Like for Chase, they have large operation in Delaware, in Wilmington. And for Bank of America, for Wells Fargo, they have large offices in North Carolina, in Charlotte. And for Citi, a lot of risk management position is in either Texas or Florida. So for recent graduates, if you are looking for jobs and you don't really care about location, you can probably look into different locations to see if there are any opportunities in other cities other than New York City.
So that's interesting. So you're saying that you're seeing them relocating to other in other cities.
Right.
The risk management function. You
Right.
just in New York.
We saw a lot of layoffs in New York City during the past year for risk management. So it's not really layoff. They will require you to relocate. If you don't relocate, if you are not willing to relocate, you can choose to find another job. But that's true for Chase, as far as I know. So some existing risk management functions in New York City will be relocated to either Texas or Delaware. And for Citi, it's also the same. Although senior management will remain in the New York City, but a lot of junior analysts will be located in other cities.
And how did you get that first job? I didn't get the part. How did you get that first job in that local bank? How did that happen?
So if you look for other locations, it's much less competitive. So it's much easier to receive interviews. I also applied for a lot of jobs in New York City, but you know there's very competitive market. Like there is a lot of other universities, like New York University or Columbia, within the city. So they not necessarily send you the interview. Even for on-site, I got the interview from Moody's. They asked me if I can pay myself to go to on-site interviews. So they don't really want people that are not within the New York City at that time. So if you're looking for opportunities in other locations, it's much higher opportunities you will receive the interview.
That's interesting. I mean, we interviewed quite a few MFE candidates, and that's an interesting strategy. No one actually, well, I mean, they got jobs in different cities, but because they happen to move there. But that's interesting that you're actually targeting, and it makes sense because it's probably cheaper for them to be located in a certain area than in New York City.
Right.
Because it's so expensive, and you're right. There's a lot of there's quite a few programs in Philadelphia, especially MFE programs. And I remember when we went to Kabuki. Remember when we went to New York in October, right? We had Kabuki is currently a student here, and we went to New York. What was the experience when you went to the conference? You know, there was this IAQF job fair.
Oh, well, I think it was very competitive and very intense because there are a lot of outstanding students from and most I think most of them are from universities in New York, so I think
Yeah.
they have more advantages than us.
And that's and there's less programs in the other cities like Philadelphia and other. Okay, so all right, so you got the job. So maybe Cici, your first job that you did over in I think it was Kromite. What kind of job was it, and how did what you studied helped you? What some of the courses that helped you the most?
Okay. Well, my first job is also more like data scientist. It's not really finance related. So my daily work is more about data management, data analytics. I really think our program is really powerful because we take classes from 3 departments: mathematics, ISE, and business school. So actually the class helped me the most would be the optimization class, because we do like building a lot of optimization models and simulation models for our agriculture clients. So I would say, I know we don't have specific coding classes, but Python are really important for my role, for my positions.
So the optimization courses from this is engineering
Yes, engineering
part of it.
classes.
But now you're doing something else.
For my new job.
Yes.
I don't know exactly what I'm doing because I'm going to start next week.
Okay.
But it's kind of the same data analytics for life science industry.
Or life science. Okay.
Yeah, pharmaceutical related.
So again, so because the program has three aspects, right? You've got
Yes.
the
Mathematics, engineer, yeah.
the finance, and the
Mathematics.
the math. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of impact in terms of on the engineering and the data side. I mean, at the end of the day, the math component is just here to help you, get the finance concepts and the engineering. You're not going to be becoming a math anything. I mean, it's just you're a finance person or you're going to be a data person, and the finance and the math helps you accomplish. What about you, Don? When you started, so which area are you more focused on?
So my first job, guess, is like a combination. The first bank I joined is a mortgage bank. So most of the assets the bank owns is residential mortgages. So for that product, I remember we have a class taught by Professor Kish about on the fixed income. I'm not sure if he's still in the program, but that class helped a lot. Because I remember there is something about mortgage or RMBS, MBS, how to define the tranches, how to do pricing, how to do prepayment. Those are very helpful. It's very related to the real work. And a lot of our models was built in MATLAB. So when I was in the program, all the engineering, I think for one of the engineering course, required programming language was MATLAB. So that also helped. And we also had some hedging programs. We need to use derivatives, so also mathematics helps. So I think the first job is very much matching our program. So everything I learned from the program is very helpful in the job.
And what are you seeing happening in so you're more on the risk, so you're more on the risk management side, right? I mean, mortgages and city. So where are you seeing the trend out there, especially now? I mean, is this on the data side? Because I don't hear too many hedge funds or anything like that.
Right. In terms of risk management, it depends on what company you are joining. Like, because I have experience in both small bank and large bank. For small bank, it will be very specific because their asset will be pretty simple. It probably one or two major assets, and it will, like I said, it will be specific. And for large banks, because it covers everything, so it depends on which function you are joining. Right now, I'm in the model risk management, and the models I'm covering is wholesale credit risk. So most of our model is statistical models. You need to know you have to know basic regression knowledge. But in the same department, we have different teams covering different assets. We have teams covering algorithm trading. We have teams covering derivative trading. We have teams covering market risk, retail credit card, mortgage, various things. So for large banks, no matter what skill set you have, you will find a match for your background. So I guess for large banks, there are much more opportunities. And for small banks, it's more like you will use some specific skills and you can get more exposure to the real business. But large bank is the structure makes you focus on specific area.
Another question that I have is what we are seeing right now is the option of doing the program in 1 year or in 2 years, and especially the environment that you're seeing, right? The job environment. Do you think that more undergraduates or even people that are working are going to be? Do you see them moving to go back to graduate school or to stay longer basically going back to Because I know that a lot of the position, I think Citibank as well, they're kind of canceling some of the internships that they have, and we're seeing a lot of students going back, or at least staying longer. Are you seeing any trends out there in terms of in your area where they're reneging on some of the internships or they're postponing? Are you seeing an impact on the job market right now?
So in terms of internship, the function I'm currently working with is we don't really have interns because a lot of projects will take a few months, right? If you are validating one model, it may take you 3 months to validate the model. And if an intern joins for just like 2 or 3 months, they may not be able to complete any validation projects. So right now we are not really hiring any interns. So I'm not really familiar with on that side, but in terms of hiring, there's no impact on my department. We are still hiring people. We are still onboarding people at this moment remotely. And I don't see much impact. We didn't stop hiring people and we still need more people. Right now, I think in Florida, I think in quantitative modeling, we probably have like 20 or 30 openings.
Cici, do you have anything on your side? What did you see when you were out there looking? What was it like?
Same. I've been working for my previous company for about 3 years. We don't hire any interns. We only hire full times. But the number of hiring actually based on the projects we have. So the more projects coming in, we're probably going to hire more person. So
Yeah.
But still, it's going to be impacted by the market.
You think so? Let me open the floor to maybe some of the students have questions to ask you. I know Aman, believe it or not, is in India. It's crazy. He went back 2 weeks ago. I think he took a plane. Raymond, you look pretty good. Guys, do you have any questions for our two guests?
Yeah, so I have a question.
Yeah.
So I think Professor Zero mentioned either doing this 1 year or 2 years. What is the preparation that you should be doing if you're shooting for a quant job or risk job? Because I know that we kind of don't have a lot of time in school. So what is the extra step that you have taken to kind of secure these jobs? Either it's networking or just kind of talking to the right people.
So for risk management, I can just speak for risk management in general. So of course, socializing with people will definitely help. And what I want to mention is that the master programs that designed within 1 or 2 years are very appreciated in the industry because basically you are obtaining the skills that are required for the job without spending too much time on researching like those PhD programs. So what the skill you learn from your program is pretty enough for the job you are applying for, at least for what I'm doing. So what I learned from my master program is enough for me to work in my current position. But what you need to know is you need to get familiar with what you are learning, right? You cannot just stop at, I can run regression. You need to know like what is behind those. When people asking about a basic regression question, you need to answer it, right? You cannot just say, okay, I know how to run the regression, but I don't know how it works. That is what I'm seeing from a lot of interviews. A lot of people, they have their projects, they write the scripts, they know how to run the regression. If they give you a data size, they know how to build a model, but they don't know why it works like that. So that is one suggestion. You need to get more familiar with what you are learning. And another is you should try to know what the job is about for the jobs you are applying for. So the easiest way is to read the job description carefully, right? If you keep reading those job descriptions, you know how your skill can be connected to the jobs. Some job description will be very specific on the skills they require and on the projects you will be working for. Like for example, for credit risk I'm currently working on, the job description will list like you need to familiar with probability of default, loss given default, exposure at default. You need to understand those concepts. You need to know how to build those models. It will leverage very basic statistical models, but it will be very helpful you know those concepts. So I guess the easiest way is just to keep reading those job descriptions on LinkedIn or on Glassdoor, so you know like what people are doing in those specific jobs.
So just to clarify what you said, because I know that like classes that we take in undergrad level, it's mostly just the basic, and then a lot of us are taking classes that are not related to even to finance. Like for example, I'm taking like my freshman year, I took English and like astronomy and all that. But in a graduate level, like your advice should be not only just sitting there and just listening to classes, but also need to know how all the functions and classes you've been taking in MFE works and how to really put into practice. Is that correct?
Right. That's basically what I'm saying. Is just for risk management in general, because for risk management, you cannot only focusing on mathematics. You need to know how the business works in order for you to manage those risks. You need to know where the risk is coming from. It's not coming from numbers, not coming from models, but you want to try to manage those. So sometimes we expect you have the basic understanding about how those are working, and you need to know what is behind the surface. Like if you see a number, you need to be able to tell a story instead of only focusing on the numbers. So that is for risk management in general. If you are looking for a position like a pure quant, like you only want to pricing, derivatives pricing, equity trading, I'm not sure, I cannot speak for those positions. Probably for those positions, I see a lot of people with zero finance background. We have a lot of people with physics PhD degree. So for those positions, it's probably different. You only need mathematics or programming skills. So it's largely depending on what kind of jobs you are targeting, like what kind of industry you want to get into and what kind of jobs you are applying for.
All right, thank you.
Hi, Dom, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm all right, thanks. Thank you very much for your insightful journey of getting a job. I have a question. I have two questions, actually. The first one is with regards to the credit risk. You said you're on credit risk model validation side. I just wanted to find out, is this just based on the mortgage, like side of the business, or do you get an exposure on the trading book as well, like model validation on the trade book as well? And then, hello? Yeah, that's my first question. And then I think the second one was just to gain an understanding of, you know how sometimes for some people to actually gain to get access to work. I know some of the banks have these programs where they pair you with somebody who's actually already in the bank, just to make sure that you're getting ready for work in that particular area or field of work. I wanted to find out whether they have those kind of opportunities in your sector of working as well.
Okay, so for the first question about credit risk.
Yeah,
so
the model validation.
So for model validation. So the side I'm working on is more like the lending side. So for lending, like when you issue a loan, there will be two sides: on wholesale, that you lend money to institutional clients, and also on retail, that you lend money to consumers, like credit card, mortgage. So we have different team covering different products. For my team, we are covering wholesale. So we are covering institutional clients. So basically, those are term loans, leverage loans, those credit products. And another topic you mentioned is the trading book. For trading book, there are several related credit risk topics. Like first is counterparty credit risk. But it's completely different story. It's different from what we are working on. Counterparty credit risk like the CVA, XVA adjustment, those are covered by a separate team. That's on the trading book. And there are also trading with credit products like CDS. Those are not, again, covered by another team. So for Citi, they're covering all kinds of products that we have different teams covering different lines. So that's the first question. About the second one, I think we have some rotation program, but not in model validation. There are some, like from trading desk, we have some model developers that in the rotation programs. Basically for Citi, most of the traders will stay in the model development department for about a year. So before you go to the trading desk, you will first join the development team to know how those models are working. And then you will have the option to rotate to other trading desks or stay in the development function. So that's what my understanding. I'm not sure about the details, but I think there are some rotation programs to help you understand what the work is like. I think those are full-time job. I think a lot of people will join as a summer intern at first, but then they join as a full-time analyst in the rotation program. But I don't know much of the details because that's on the front desk.
All right, thanks. So on your, if you don't mind me just having a follow-up question. So on the, just to get an understanding, I know you mentioned that the majority of people that you have are like PhDs in physics and the like. What kind of skill sets comprises your trading team, your model development team that ends up being your trading team? I'm just curious to find out, like what kind of.
So it will depend on the product. Like for equity trading, like basically it's Black-Scholes, right? It's some derivation with Black-Scholes. So
Yeah.
for active trading, we have a lot of people with similar background as you guys in the MFE program.
Yeah.
But for other trading department like commodities, that is related to a lot of more complicated models. You need to consider both the term structure and storage costs. So they involve a lot of much more complicated models. So most of people working on commodities trading will have background in physics. And also for credit risk, for people currently working with, a lot of people will have statistical background,
All right.
either from a master in statistics or PhD in statistics. And I think that's pretty much it. For pricing evaluation, derivative trading in general, most people will have mathematics or physics background, but they do hire people with MFE masters. So it depends. It depends on which exact team you are applying for.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Cici, in your recent job search, when you were interviewing, and in addition to the previous one as well, did this probably applies to the first one, because what about projects? Did when you interviewed, the question of projects or internships, or if you don't have an internships, how do you play with that? How does that come into play when you go for the interview?
For my new job, my interview question, I mainly focus on my previous working experience.
Correct, but the first job.
But for the first job, it's more like it's also mixed. It's an internship I did when I was in college, and the projects I did for school, like the capstone projects I did in Lehigh University. So they were.
Was this a capstone with Lehigh, or was it a capstone with outside?
With Lehigh.
Okay. So that's another themes that we see developing.
Yeah, they will want to say like how your skills you have done for the project, how you can fit your skills to the current position.
Great. Any more questions?
I'd love to ask both of you. Like I know Mr. Yang mentioned earlier that the stuff that you learn at university is really, really useful. So everything that you learn in university is all you need to do for your job. It's all you need to know for your job. But I'd love to hear from both of you beyond that, beyond academics and what you learn in the job. What are the resources that you find so helpful to you? Because like Professor mentioned, I'm in India right now. And so I don't have any access to the academic from my professors. I don't have a job yet, so I don't have the ability to keep up with things from there either. So for someone like me who doesn't have academic resources or resources from his job, what do you think are the best ways to polish up yourself? Resources, things you can read, maybe things you can keep up with. Anything that you think?
I really think our program can make you very qualified or even overqualified for a lot of jobs. So first of all, if you want to land a job, it would be better for you to discover which area do you want to focus on for your career path. Your first job is really, really important because that's your working experience, and you're more likely to land a job like close to your previous job. Like me, I do data analytics. It's more likely for me to land the next job like data analytics. And for a student in school, I really think networking is the most important thing to find a job. If you apply online, according to myself and my classmates' experience, you have to be really ready for the rejections. You're gonna receive the rejection letters all the time. Our record would be like maybe 1 out of 100 like applications you can land an interview. But for networking, if you know someone in the industry and close to the job you want to look for, the rate might be, I don't know, maybe 80%, they can give you an interview. So it's much, much more likely to have an interview compared to just like blindly apply online. But to a student in school, maybe you don't have a lot of network for people in the industry. So like what our professor did right now, it's really powerful alumni networking right now. You can like reach out to the students who graduate earlier from this program. They might already have experience in the industry and they might like have openings. Or the professors, they will also have their own connections. That's really powerful and much, much more likely to land you an interview.
In fact, when Zizi were looking for another job, you know, I asked the network, hey, and there were a couple of options, jobs that came out.
That was really helpful.
Yeah. And we'll have more of that because as the more people graduate and the more we expand the network, then you know, we give each other jobs. Really, it's a lot easier than having to fight, quote unquote, with all of the other students. And Dong mentioned that, you know, you're better off than go compete somewhere else. You don't have to compete in New York City because ultimately you could always move back in once you're. In fact, that's what happened because now you're working in New York right now, right?
I'm still in Florida.
Oh, you're still in Florida, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's where you have your nice background. Okay, so we've learned 3 things. Networking, obviously, again, reinforcement of that. Projects are important, internships, especially when you're interviewing for your first jobs. And you don't have, you know, be smart in your approach. I mean, yeah, nobody wants to work in New York City, but then, you know, especially now, it's going to be a lot tougher. You know, look for other situations. I mean, we have a lot of MFE students. I mean, Kromite was in New Jersey. Don is in Florida. We had a couple of people that were in Boston, in Atlanta. So it doesn't have to be New York. It could be lots of different areas, especially now that everybody's going remote. You know, the location is starting to become less and less relevant. Any more questions for our guests before I let them? Oh, Kabuki, go ahead.
Yes. So now I'm searching for a job. So what I care about is how I can get the responses as much as possible when I send out my resumes. So so I'm wondering what quality they are looking for in terms of this. I think this question is for Dong Yang. So in terms of credit risk and you know, and model validation jobs. So what quality they're looking for in a candidate. So is it projects or work experience or even some certificates like FRM? So what are the key elements that they are looking for in our resumes?
Yeah, so I think that's a good question because one of the issues we are seeing is the resume of master graduates looks pretty much the same. So everything we have 30 resumes, everyone is the same. They attend the same college, have the same courses, have the similar internship back home, and they have similar projects. So it's very hard for us to pick someone. So what we are really looking for is something relevant. So it's not necessarily need to be something complicated. It need to be relevant. That's what I said before previously about reading the job descriptions. We want something that's showing up in the job descriptions to show in your resume. Like if we are saying, okay, we are looking for someone to validate credit risk models, it's better to see someone has relevant courses, either from the university program you are attending or from other online courses, because there is a lot of resources right now, right? From those online courses websites, you can take some credit risk management courses there, then show that you, at least you understand basic concepts. So that is something makes you stand out from other graduates that it can be coming from projects, can be coming from courses, can be coming from your previous experience. Because right now, what I'm seeing is some programs like University of Connecticut, they have a program specific for risk management. So they will have course projects in stress testing. So they know what is CCAR, what is DFAST, and what is credit risk for stress testing. So that will make them much easier to get an interview because they did what we are doing right now every day. So I think that is one of the most important things that you can do. Like at least you can list some relevant elements in your resumes to show that, okay, my resume is matching for this specific jobs I'm applying for. It's not showing I'm an average master student. It's saying, okay, I'm interested in this job and I have some backgrounds in this. So I think that will be very helpful.
Okay, thank you. So it's about like how much you match with the job, right? Okay, so I think I have another question. So is like when it comes to applying for risk management jobs, like how important is the certificate FRM? So would that be a big plus?
Yeah, I would say yes. Certificates will help a lot. At least they will know like you have understanding in those basic concepts. I wouldn't say like if you pass like a level 1, level 2, or you just list you are level 1 candidate, it means you are taking the level 1 test, right? It basically meaning you are preparing for CFA pro. Those won't help that much. But if you pass level 2 or level 3 of CFA, or if you pass both levels for FRM, it will help a lot from risk management jobs.
Okay, thank you both for the insight. Thank you.
Thank you. So are there any more questions? We'll let Cici and Don go. And guys, can you stay behind so we could conduct our student development course? So yeah, thank you very much for your help. I won't take too much of your time. This was great. Since you participate, we're going to send you a gift, a Lehigh University gift, as soon as we open. And again, thanks for everything, okay?
Thank you.
Good luck. Bye.
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 Thank you. Thank you very much.
Stella, don't go anywhere. We need to talk. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Ramos.
Yep.
What the heck is going on with your picture thing? I mean, you know.
What do you mean?
Well, here we go. This is good. But what is this at the bottom? Like, you know, we're kind of seeing.
Bottom, no, that's my. Sorry, I have to charge my phone. I couldn't connect with the, and then the charger is a little bit weird, so I can't scooch.
What the heck?
Well, let me unplug it. It's at 10%.
What the? And now the reason I'm making a big deal of it, you know, like Masala, right? He's there. He looks very professional, and Aman and Kabuki. You know, and it's important because you know you've got these people. You never know. I mean, they may contact you there to remember you, right?
Right.
I'm gonna hook you up. I'm gonna hook you up with these guys. You know, in the LinkedIn thing, and who knows? Because Cici actually, she left Kromite not too long ago, and